That's green right here.
Okay, I'm showing 9 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get the meeting called to order. We don't have Dave here, so we can't do the swearing in. So, looks like the first order of business we have is the Lake City Skiers with Chuck. Want to come on up, Chuck? Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks for letting me come back with more information for you on this grant request. As you can, first off, as you can see, the amount requested is up a little bit, but we repriced everything. And from the first time we priced it until the second time we priced it, things have went up quite a bit. It's kind of what we're in right now, economy and everything. So one of the questions I know that you had was, what else would we be using it for? And to be honest, I was a little hesitant because it's on video. I didn't know, going out to public, I didn't want to make any big announcements about what might be stored in there. So, but one of the things that will be stored in there is our costumes and our props throughout the year. And that's really important to us. Our costume budget now runs between $5,000 and $7,000 a year. So in the past few years, as we've grown and as the team has gotten better, we've had to up our game on that. In the past few years, they've either been getting stuck into the equipment shed with all the skis and everything, which causes problems because every practice they get pulled outside, they end up on the ground, or they're stored in a pavilion, and we show up at the show site, they're on the ground, they're tore up. When you're spending that kind of money on it, it's important to have a good place to store them where that doesn't happen. One of the other things that we'll be using it for is we've been having some equipment issues each year that we were having to put more money into repairing equipment. And in talking with Sweetwater, we found out we have to store that equipment above 40 degrees in a dry area. And we'd been just keeping it in a trailer, that it normally gets hauled in and stuff. And so it was causing damage to the equipment. So, this way we can have a storage area that we can put all that equipment in. We can keep the temperature up above 40 degrees, and that will save, money in the future, with expense. Because we were spending about $3,000 to $4,000 every year having that equipment repaired at the beginning of each season. So, and it was just because of the cold and the moisture and everything. So that's a couple of the major things that, it will be used for. Of course, we'll use it for show director, board meetings, that type of thing as well, as using it for the scores, when we host tournaments. And next year is going to be really important because all three of our tournaments will be large tournaments. The City of Lakes tournament is normally a small tournament. We usually don't have that many officials for it. But the fact that we're having the Division I Nationals next year, we'll have extra teams that will be coming in to ski the site, so it will increase the size of that tournament. So it'll be, more important to have the facility. So if you have any questions, I did submit the drawings. I hope those were adequate.
Yeah, we didn't see them.
You didn't see them?
No, we didn't see the drawings.
What are they? Several copies.
Okay.
I included them in the email
Okay.
that I sent.
So it's a 30 by 20
Yeah,
building, Chuck?
Yeah.
Concrete floor, wood floor?
wood floor, just
And
like the one that we built for the video booth. You've seen that one.
And electrical in
Elec-
it, obviously, outlets,
Electrical, insulation, you know, the windows and the doors. And with this one, what we were doing is originally we had thought that we would make it a little shorter where because our electrical panel for the site is right underneath the bleachers, kind of at the end of where the video booth is now. And so originally we were going to leave a space so we could get back into that, but what we decided we'd do, just go ahead and bring it over to the booth that's there now. And then we'll put a door going out that side back into the electrical panel. Just made more sense.
And the team's gonna do all the work, I mean, you're not hiring it done, it's,
Yeah, we're doing all the work. You know, Kevin will head that up, and then, you know, we have some contractors on the team that will volunteer their time and their labor, their tools and everything to get it done.
it is. I know. Ron and I just said that seems awful cheap,
It seems awful cheap.
to build that size building for $6,500 is
What's that?
outrageously inexpensive.
Well, when we repriced it, it came out to $10,643
Okay,
when we repriced it.
So
okay.
they're not asking for the full amount.
So the grant request we have still has 6,500 on it.
Yeah, well, the new one that I sent, I
Okay. So
updated.
maybe there's a disconnect for us getting
Yeah.
it, didn't get there.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new
Okay,
one-
So we didn't see the drawings,
I've
and
got
usually
the
with
old
Michelle,
one.
as soon
Do
as
you-
we
do
get
you
it, we
want
get it.
the updated?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because.
I was gonna say, that's not
Looking at a
right.
request that doesn't match,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So they're asking for 10,643.
That's still cheap, quite honestly, for a building that size, with a floor and electrical in it. So I think the only thing we've got is when we look at our financials on the budget, we've already granted everything. We go negative if we grant everything that's out here significantly, like over 100 grand in the hole. So I think before we approve anything, we would need to have some funds moved if we're gonna do anything along the way. And I'm not saying in advance, but I think maybe we ought to have the rest of the discussion and then determine what we're gonna do, because honestly, our grants are done for the year.
Correct.
For what we can do for this year, there is not much money left there to
Right,
grant
without moving
through the rest of
funds.
the year. So I think maybe we can have some more discussion here with Chuck, or we table that and stand by till we come back and see how much
Gotta-
money we've got
right,
to do,
we've
what
gotta
we're gonna
put-
do with.
we've gotta put it-
Make sense?
yes.
So, yeah, so appreciate it. Hang on.
All right.
Stand by.
Okay,
Stand by.
thanks.
You want this back, or can we keep this?
No, you-
Keep that. Okay, so we're on standby for Chuck. Okay, up next, we have the wagon wheel presenting for the holiday housing expenses and website update 2.
Wow, we can do a grant by the person.
That's why I started to
That'd be a
walk
new
in
strategy.
and thought it was
That'd be
another
a new
meeting.
strategy.
I
Good
sat
morning.
the whole way.
Bring, the more money we get. That'd be
So you know that the wagon wheel never stands alone. The wheels roll all kinds of ways.
Wow.
So good morning, good morning, good morning. I would like to ask you, Madam President, we do have a breakdown sheet for you as we present to you. You know, that you don't have to go back and read the wording. It's like a shortcut sheet if you guys would like to have that for you. So standing with me today, I have Elisa Wise, who is my development director. You'll hear from her shortly. And also my COO, Holly Lance, who you will hear from shortly as well. So once again, thank you for having us. And also my board and staff and friends of the Wagon Wheel are standing here before me because that's the love that everyone has for the Wagon Wheel. So I'm going to get right to it. So By awarding this grant of $95,000, this will indirectly ensure us the future success and the preparation of one of the most unique tourism attractions, which is our holiday show. As you know, during the time of Kosciuszko County, during the time our holiday show goes up, everybody's either in Florida or they're away, but people come back from all over surrounding counties and states to see our holiday show because it brings the family, it brings the attraction, and it brings the wholeness of life. And as you know, these last 3 years, what it's been. Last year, I can say with our production of Elf, all nights were sold out, where people were begging to come back. So I will say that our attractions have, attracted people from many states, counties, and I'll take it even further and say in the country. The increase of this attraction of outside visitors into Kosciuszko County has helped us unanimously because our actors come from outside, and having different partnerships with the hotels, putting heads in beds is very important. Also, they get to fall in love with this beloved community as I have. So the reaping of the benefits of the Wagon Wheel success has increased our overnight visitors, and that's our focus for tonight, that we want them to continue to make this be a tradition. So Holly is going to break down numbers. Everybody loves the numbers game, right? So we're going to play a little game today called the numbers game of breaking this $95,000 down for you.
Hello, everybody. Of the 95,000 grant requests that we have, 80,000 of that will actually cover the cost of housing for 20 of our cast members for the production of The Sound of Music in December of this year. Wagon Wheel intends to use hotels around the theater because we have to keep it in close proximity due to not having cars, and they're coming in from all over to accommodate those housing needs. On a yearly basis, 53% of the visitors to Wagon Wheel are residents outside of Kosciuszko County. This is significantly above average of visitors for arts organizations. The National Endowment for the Arts actually did a survey, and 31% of rural arts organizations attract more outside visitors than to their programs compared to the 19.3 that an urban arts organization would attract. If we have all 53 of those non-county visitors at the Wagon Wheel stay in hotels throughout the year, at a $90 rate, the innkeeper's tax would generate approximately $189,000 or higher, depending on the number of people that we bring in. Each year, we grow that number of people staying in hotels because we've partnered, like Lakeisha said, with the hotels in the area. Prior to the pandemic, arts and culture goods and services contributed 4.5% of the US GDP, and that's a larger amount than the share contributed by industries such as construction, agriculture, and transportation, based on a 2019 study. Wagon Wheel Center for the Arts is one of the top 3 tourist attractions in Kosciuszko County. It is a favorite not only for the local residents of Kosciuszko County, but throughout the state and in at least 31 states across the country. We have visitors in every year. I'm going to pass it off now to Alyssa, who's going to give you more data.
So thank you, Holly and Lakeisha. As you heard, they talked a lot about our holiday show and that component of our grant request. The other component of our grant request, that $15,000, is to cover updating the Wagon Wheel website. And this is a critical component of bringing tourism to our county. Based on the data that you see on our sheets, we have 55% of our ticket sales are purchased online by visitors from outside Kosciuszko County. And 77% of our Facebook followers live outside Kosciuszko County. So we know that the most direct way for us to communicate and to attract tourism is through our online presence, specifically our website and our Facebook. Facebook linked to our website. All of our Facebook posts about ticket sales go straight to our website. The problem is our website needs heavily updated. We have received lots of data and research, as well as patron surveys and responses, letting us know that our website is not user-friendly and it does not provide all of the information, especially to outside visitors to our county, that they would like to see and know about. If you've been on our website, it's hard to find the hotel information. It's hard to find the restaurant information. We don't want that anymore. But it's not just that. There are tons of other components of our website that need updated. And because it's such a broad spectrum, we know it needs a fully updated, personal touch by a local, we're going to work with a local company to update this to cater to our exact needs and preferences. So that's where that $15,000 request comes into. And to make a statement on this, I know this is a reimbursement grant, and most of these dollars we would not be reimbursing until later in this year, especially those December ones. We're not going to be racking up our hotel bills until closer to November or December. So I did just want to let you know that. But in general, our hope with this website update is that it will, not only bring overnight guests for more information for them to know about our county, but also those who are just doing day trips as well. So we're making sure that we're targeting our entire demographics with our website update, not just for those looking for hotels, but especially those looking for hotels or looking for great restaurants or other attractions like Lake City Skiers or other events happening. I know they spoke today, so they're fresh on my mind. But there's so much other great things that happen in our county. We want people to know about that through our website too. And now I'll turn it back over to Lakeisha, and she will wrap us up and answer any questions.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just in conclusion, going back to our website, did you guys come to Crowder? I didn't see you guys, but the Crowder concert that was sold out, both shows, guess what happened to our website? It crashed. For the day because of all the traction and of everything. And when we're bringing artists like Crowder and Amy Grant and all these amazing, people that are coming, we don't want our website to crash on them. We want them to be able to go on, get the information, get the updates as we're updating in a timely fashion. But it's a great thing because we know that the traction is happening. But the Wagon Wheel has had a strong presence outside of the county, as we've stated, and a strong record of attracting visitors and also even hiring. I moved here from New York. I'm here and I love it. You couldn't pay me to go back to New York. Outside of our county, but by approving this grant to the Wagon Wheel, it makes our holiday show a success. It takes the burden and the stresses of us not worrying about how we're going to fund these actors and putting a strain on the organization where we can use other funds in other areas. And also with this website update, definitely don't want another crash to continue happening. And also being able to collect that data for you all to see, and for the county and the state to see how special the Wagon Wheel is. And this funding will also be utilized to promote an increase of visitor spending, because when they come, they want to eat. I know I did. And they also want to explore this county because there's so much beauty within the lakes and everything that happens here beyond the Wagon Wheel. These funds will also help promote activities directly to increase this spending and create a positive image, as we've done, as you can see, in Kosciuszko County. So if you guys have any questions or...
I do.
All right.
So I jotted a couple of things down. Have you got other contributors? Are you reaching out to other sources?
Absolutely. I mean, being a nonprofit organization, you want to have multiple streams to be able to sustain that sustainability. And, this was an urgency because our holiday show literally is right around the corner and our summer show is like tomorrow.
So specifically for this project, I realize nonprofits have to fundraise, but for this project, are you reaching out to anybody else for funding for this project?
We are right now waiting to hear back from different, to try to see, it's a wait game, to try to see, how can we maneuver and, make this happen.
Okay, and what happens if you don't get the funding?
Then I have to come back before you and ask again and show up every time until, and I'm trying to avoid that.
I got that, but what happens if it doesn't? Can you put it on if you don't have this funding?
Yes,
Will
we
you
can.
put it on if you don't have
We
funding?
can definitely put it on, but like as I stated, there are other projects that are pressing that we don't want to spend those funds. For example, our White Hill Minor project, which is over a $300,000 project that's happening. If this 95 doesn't come, we have to pull from that project, which puts that project behind. And also there's roofing issues, because you've seen our building. It's also the upkeep of that. So we don't want to take money from those projects to just do the housing.
Well, you just hit my thing. Capital expenditures
Correct.
are kind of where we're at. Mm-hmm. So we can talk about those things.
Absolutely.
Those are
I
things that
don't
we
mind
can
coming and
definitely-
talk to you. Absolutely.
And their website, the $15,000, that appeals,
Right.
that's what we're here
Absolutely. The
for.
website, I mean, I think
Definitely.
that's
I mean,
a
I think that's
no-brainer. Again, we've got to have our
marketing.
discussion on
Absolutely.
dollars here, but again, what we've tried to get away from, with the exception of the CCAC, and it doesn't mean it's right, wrong, or indifferent, it's the way we've done it, is we funded that operationally. We're trying to get away from operational
we
funds
don't.
for grants.
Right.
So I get it, if you have capital projects that total $80,000,
Correct.
we buy those projects, or we grant the funds for those projects to where you have money to use for operational type expenses.
Oh,
That's what we're trying to do, is get away from operational,
got you.
because that way the entities have to stand on their own. If you look at,
Correct.
many of the things that we funded are directly related to tourism, directly related to helping the folks in the community. I'm at the Wagon Wheel regularly, so I get
Correct.
it. I think it's a great thing for the community. I mean, it's fantastic for us, but we are trying to slide to more capital versus operational.
Got you.
So,
I don't know, this isn't to argue back or forth or anything, just to give you some clarity of why specifically we're asking for hotels for our Christmas show. It's because of the White Hill project she just mentioned. That's where we normally house our company for the Christmas show, and because of the capital needs of it, we
Okay.
can't use it this year. So this is kind of operational, but it's a
Okay.
one-time operational need that we foresee. And we're hoping, as she mentioned, White Hill will be taken care of in the foreseen future. So just to give some clarity
Okay.
to the story of why, I mean, we normally don't come up and ask for hotel expenses. You all know, we don't use that many hotel rooms in a Christmas show, but that's why specifically right now. So it's kind of a part of our capital expense right now with White Hill. So just to give some
And
clarity.
one question for you, on estimate for the website, 15,000, that seems pretty cheap. Is it a complete revamp? I mean, what?
It's a complete revamp of it, because the love that, I say this community, this was a local company that will be working with it, and they love and they want to help out, because they started this back, but the Wagon Wheel couldn't afford it because we had to make a choice to pay other things. So it's like, well, the website is working, but we have this. And now we're in a position right now where this is the time to do that because of the capacity of where we're at to do it. And also, picking back on the White Hill project, we also have a partnership with the Builders Association, who is local, who's helping us maneuver that project where we're not in that same spot again. We want to be smart about our dollars, that when I stand before you each time that I see you, it's different things, and you see us going to the next level, that you're not seeing us coming back asking for the same thing, like, I need hotels. You're going to look at me and say, is White Hill not done yet? So, we get it. We want to sustain, we want to be smart. One thing that COVID across the board, like I said, I came from New York, is being smart about this thing and how we're using our art dollars and where we put things in to build that capacity, where we're being smart. And you guys see that we're being smart with it, and you see how the dollars are going around and really helping the county.
Where do you stand, on remodeling the theater?
Guess what? Get out of my head. Get out of my head. Well, the first thing, and I'm going to be very transparent with you, I mean, you have to, I'm a new ED. I just moved here in October. Is laying down the foundational things like White Hill, because even with the remodel, White Hill is not going anywhere. That's our precious jewel. It makes sense, for us to be able to house. So we have to build that capacity and fix home first, to get to that capital campaign, and why. And to be honest, to start a capital campaign right now wouldn't be smart. And I want to be smart when we do this capital project coming up in a couple years. So I know I'll see your envelope with a
But what, I mean, you've already raised so much money for the capital, where do you stand on that?
Raised so much, well,
You're out raising money a few years ago to add on to the wagon wheel.
but they didn't meet the goal. I wasn't here, so let me just speak. Yeah, but
I just don't know where you stand. I mean, do you have that money somewhere?
let me let the board someone that was
Okay.
here to give you that particular history, because I'm coming in at the end of it, of the future of where I can
Okay.
take it. But let me let someone give you the history.
We're not gonna win this battle, I don't believe.
We've seen a lot of faces today.
Okay.
My name is Emily. I'm the board president for Wagon Wheel. So a quick update on the capital campaign. So the capital campaign is currently, I would say it's on pause. We actually have drawings for the theater, for the bathroom expansion, for both the men and the women's, more office space. Space that we would kind of redesign the theater so there would be more classroom space, because our conservatory and education programs are top of mind for us right now. So we really want to be able to have the space to have the classrooms and the classes by also having a full functioning theater. But most importantly, the bathrooms, that seems to be everybody's hot button. We have drawings, the architecture, 3 different options. It's more just starting the project and making sure that the designs that we have is the direction we want to go, but the money is still there. It is just on pause, especially with COVID happening. As far as White Hill, we've made a lot of progress on that project. We have water issues, roofing issues. It's a historical site, so of course, we have a slate roof. That comes with additional expense that we are trying to work through. We've been working with the Builders Association, as well as we have a task force with a few builders in the county that are on it that are helping us navigate the project to get it done as efficiently and quickly as possible so we can start using it for its intended purpose, which is to house actors and directors and support staff. So hopefully that answers your question. Elissa, our development director, can also speak to the numbers. Yeah, I'll chime in a little bit, and Holly, correct me if I'm wrong on some of the numbers. Currently, the funding for the theater building is not the extent to do everything we need. And, we started that in 2015, 17. Our needs have changed, our community's needs have changed of what they want, what they desire. Emily mentioned the conservatory. This is not brand new program, it's been an ongoing program, but it's exponentially increased in the outreach and the opportunities and the need that we serve the community through that. And so we have to think very strategically before we start building walls or tearing down walls, that we're meeting the needs of our community now and for the future. So we do have some funds that are designated towards specific aspects of that project that can't be touched until we can make movement on that. So at this time, White Hill is a more immediate, safety concern, repair need than the theater itself. So that's why that's taking precedence. Yeah.
And just on the White Hill numbers as well, just to give you guys an idea of what we've kind of walked into this summer with the summer cast. We've got 65 people coming in this summer from all over the country that we have to house. On a normal basis, we would have White Hill, and 20 of those people, or a few more than that, would be in White Hill. Our budget jumped from housing costs because we can't do host families right now due to the COVID situation. We're hoping to go back to that next year. Our housing cost alone this year for 3 months this summer is $95,000 to house these people in our community, either renting houses or a hotel, whatever it is. So for us to lose White Hill was a big hit to our operating budget, to be able to also then go and put up the season and put on spectacular shows, which you all love to come see. So just so you kind of understand why the housing is such a hot topic with us right now, is because until we can get the funding for White Hill, we got it.
I got housing.
It was Capital White Hill that caused the issue. Capital White Hill.
That's why, using the funding that we can get to go towards fixing White Hill decreases that housing for us, gives us something that's solid, we know is safe for the people that we're bringing in.
That would have been better in the grant
Yeah.
than hotel rooms for that
Yeah,
piece.
but,
Okay, but we get
again,
it.
I think we should do something. Again, it's personal opinion,
Correct.
obviously we need to vote, but I think we need to talk about dollars. So Kathy, maybe if you want to make a motion to accept, if we don't get one, we talk about finances then.
Correct.
So we don't have to hold this whole group.
Correct.
Because they're going to get parking tickets at some point.
And we don't want that.
Because that would impact the budget, I get it.
And then I
Yes,
think I
I'll
can
be
reach
back.
back out to the entities, and once we've got our dollar amounts, I can reach back out. So,
Cool.
appreciate your
So thank you.
presentation.
Thank you so much for your time and understanding, and, let the Lord use you, okay?
Did a great job. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Looks like we are ready for an update from the CVB.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
For those of you that don't know me, I am Bob Jackson. I am the past chair of the Visitors Bureau Board. Doug Haynes couldn't be here this morning. So I have the privilege of introducing our new executive director to you. Corey Humes comes to us from Marshall County. Back up, as many of you know, Jill left the beginning of, I think in February, to take a really good position over in Fort Wayne. And we were excited for her and thankful for the 7 years that she gave to us. After a search, we had some good candidates, and Corey, she rose to the top of all of them. She is new to KCCRVC County, kind of. Her husband works for the Parks Department as the electrician, and she resides with her family over in around Tippecanoe in Marshall County. But she has spent the last 8 years at the Marshall County Visitors Bureau. So she already has a wealth of knowledge, and she has hit the ground running in her first 6 weeks. And we're very excited and very pleased to have someone of her quality to step in. So without further ado, Corey?
Thank you, Bob. Hi, good morning. Again, thank you for having me. I'm Corey Humes. I am excited to be in KCCRVC County. I cannot say enough of the warm welcomes I have received in this county, so I'm very grateful for that. And again, thank you, Bob. Typically, I knew that Jill kind of started off with a destination analyst, kind of a tourism. Where are we at? What's it looking like trend-wise? So I thought I would continue that if that works for you guys. Quickly, we know, and most of us know, that COVID concerns are retreating. They're there, but it's not as big of an influence when it comes to travel and tourism. We have about 87.6% of those surveys with their current trips are planned, and about 57.9% feel to normal in the US. So their avoidance of conferences and conventions have reached a record low, about 40%. Now, as we see that COVID has subsided, we notice that inflation and gas prices are kind of causing a little bit of an issue with some trips taken trend-wise around the United States. About 55% of those do agree that inflation prices may have them rethink their budget when they travel. Not that they're gonna travel, it just may change what they're thinking about. And hopefully that our gas prices do come down with the spring and summer above really here. I don't know if anyone else felt like summer just came to us yesterday. I know it did for me. However, what's great about KCCRVC County and the statistics that we're seeing is that a number of Americans that are choosing to travel this year are looking for outdoor recreation. And because KCCRVC County is such a great destination for that, we have so many things that we're able to promote to bring those travelers and visitors here. So that's just a quick update. And I'm not sure if our hoteliers here noticed, but there was about 64.2% of Americans are feeling much more sympathetic to our hospitality and restaurant workers. Now, I don't know if you're feeling that, but I'm hoping that's the true case in this survey.
That's true.
You don't know if that's true? Okay.
I get it occasionally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was hoping people were being a little kinder, because I know the COVID has.
I don't know that that's.
I don't think
You don't know,
that's true.
okay.
I don't think
Well, I
we
thought
agree.
I'd ask you just to see if that trend was right.
It's local, it's not national.
It's not,
right?
maybe it's local. Anywho, now I wanted to share, I don't know, our team, Laura, may have sent our hoteliers our current occupancy rates. I wanted to share with those, if the rest of the group hasn't had a chance to look at those. These are the March numbers. I just have a couple of printouts if you wanted to look at those. Thank you very much. It looks as if we are in an increase in occupancy from last year, and I just see that growing. I'm guessing you all, three of you here representing the hospitality is seeing that as well, which is great. According to STR, Smith Travel, they are hoping that the 2022 forecast for tourism and overnight stays is going to surpass the 2019 numbers. I know in Marshall, when I was there, it was probably our most collected innkeepers tax year. I hope that's the case. I hope 2022 is our comeback year, as we were all hoping last year was. Quickly, we are working on our sports and events calculator. I do know that recently Mike submitted some information to us with our sports calculator, and our events calculator will be underway soon. We haven't gotten quite access to that, and we're still kind of learning the training with that, but we'll have some more information for you once we get that underway to kind of help out any of the events sponsorships that you do remit here if you need any of that information. We do have a quarterly hotel meeting set up next on May 26th at noon, if anyone was interested. A quick visitor guide update. We're hoping to have a delivery date by the end of the week. They are still in a bind. Yes, the paper shortage has been a major issue. They have been in a binding process for a few weeks now. They mentioned, we do have that really great travel map insertion that is causing some issues for, they said it's like 4 different processes at this point. So please cross your fingers, we have our guide next week. You are aware of the KCCRVC Engage passes, if we're familiar with those, with the Trailblazer, the Sipping Trail, and the Public Arts Trail. We are seeing some really great numbers since those started. We have a total of 348 total signups, and we also have had at least 6 complete redemptions so far. That means through those travel portions, we have received some prizes. So those are going really well, and we're hoping later this year, soon to be, we're adding a taco trail because we know people love to eat tacos. We're hoping to do a breakfast trail as well because that's my favorite meal of the day. And an attractions trail to add on to these passports to get more people out there seeing what KCCRVC has to offer. Not only visitor related, but be a visitor in your own your own county as well. Hoping to get some of those out. Last, one quick note. We are still working on our video shots. Hopefully we're working with a company called Dream On, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with an accommodations and Made in KCCRVC video. Those are in current productions. So hopefully we'll have some of those to engage for social media and marketing promotions. And last week we celebrated National Tourism Week. So that was a really great one for us. We did a giveaway on social media. We had about 41 entries. They were able, the winner was from Noblesville, Indiana, and they're coming to the Wagon Wheel and staying at the True. So we're excited to have that. And that was my quick update for you. Unless you had any questions for me.
No, I'm seeing the social media posts. I think you guys are doing a good job with that.
Yeah, Laura
I'm
and
seeing activity and engagement with those, so.
I'm glad to see that. Yes, we
Yeah.
are very pleased with
Yeah.
all of that and make 2022 a great year, so.
And I think the other thing, with the guide, and I'm an anti-paper.
You
person
are,
anyway.
okay. Do you
I
like the
don't-
digital
I don't see
QR
much
code?
value in the guides myself. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not saying you have to do this, but I think digital, you can track, you get a lot. So I'm thinking that again, my opinion, the resources that you're spending on that, can you shift those to social media versus the production, of the guides? Now, and Jill disputed that, and I've had the same theme regularly. I'm anti-paper.
You
when
are,
it comes
okay.
to that, because, I pick them up, we throw them away. So, but I realize that you don't always have people, when the rest stops and things like that. And we actually upped the number that were delivered last year.
Yeah, we did.
As far as guides go, I think this year would be a good learning moment. If we don't get the guides and we don't see a
What
fall off,
impact?
maybe consider that for future. Because there's a lot of time and energy that goes into putting that guide together.
Yes.
And cost, time, energy, and cost that goes into it that perhaps, again, you're paid to manage it, not me. But just from an outsider's view, looking at it, you know, how can I shift those dollars to do something that's maybe more effective? That's my 2 cents on that.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so we have had success with the digital guides at this point.
Yeah.
So we are seeing success in that until those pieces go. I will stick with the Jill. We do need some type of visitor guide
understand.
because of the number of visitors we are getting in the visitor center. But I appreciate, yes, I know we're moving towards a digital world, yes.
It's happening, things
It's
are
happening.
changing, so.
So
you
thank
know.
you for that. And I appreciate you letting me come and share with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you,
appreciate
Corey.
your time. Okay, looks like we have a quick update from the CCAC. Sorry.
Good morning. I am Mike Agee, the Executive Director at the CCAC. Just give a quick update. Our outdoor youth soccer program is underway with KCSL, WAVE, and ISL. KCSL alone had over 370 kids sign up this year, so we've got that program up and going. Our adult softball leagues are up and running. We had 26 teams sign up for that over a 3-day league schedule. We are up to 5 full-time staff members. I think my next hire will be the young lady from New York. She seems energetic. She has quite the following, so I think I want to track her down after we leave here. 2 weeks ago, we did host a 50-team youth baseball tournament. I think the hotels saw some benefits from that, some negative, but we are working on that. This weekend, we have 37 teams coming into town for a baseball event with 57 soccer games as well this weekend. So we will have a huge weekend out at the park as well. So the city, restaurants, hotels, and retail places should see some benefits from that as well. I did have a good meeting with Corey at the office. Sat down and talked to her for about an hour one day. Had a great meeting. I look forward to working with her and the CCAC as a great partnership moving forward. We did have our first Easter egg hunt that went off with probably between 250 to 300 kids. To me, first year, it's a learning experience. We will grow, get much bigger. We did give away cash prizes. We did have some donations from local restaurants, Hacienda, the Igloo out of Silver Lake, and Texas Roadhouse donated free kid meals. So there was lots of giveaways there. I think it's about it. Our youth program and adult programs for the summer is quickly filling up, so our weekends will be getting busy. I want to thank the hotels for working with us on rooms for staffs of the groups coming in to rent our fields. That's a huge help. 2 weeks ago, the city was so full that we had to put umpires and staff up in Rochester, which to me is a great thing for Costa County because these hotels were full. So that's not a bad thing. As far as everything else, we're improving, we're repairing, we're updating, we're upgrading. The park, if you make it out there, looks better. We are peeling off Band-Aids and fixing things the right way the first time. So I'm proud of that, proud of the staff for putting in the time for that. So any questions for me? Just wanted to do an update. We're not here to ask for anything this time.
On your other grant requests,
Outside of what we do.
outside of us.
Actually, I've got a grant I'm waiting to hear from. We're pursuing a new playground set for the kids out at the park, so we're hoping to hear from that. I've also submitted a rather large grant of a few $100,000 to the MLB, Major League Baseball program, for new lighting in the fields. Hoping to hear from that sooner than later, but we are definitely pursuing outside grants rather than just relying on you guys. Absolutely.
And I can say, we had a board meeting, obviously I represent
Yes.
on the CCAC board on behalf of our organization. I had to wait in line to get into the board meeting. That's how busy the fields were. So going in, if you've ever driven into the CNC, CCAC.
You're fired from the
I'm
board.
back to my machine shop days, but driving into the facility, we had to wait. I mean, it was backed up, traffic was backed up, so there were that many folks. And again, I've been on that board, I don't know, 3-4 years now, and it's the first time that we've had that amount of activity. Now granted, part of it was COVID, but part of it's due to Mike's outreach to the community, trying to get more people involved, and I think it ultimately will prove beneficial for the county and for the CCAC as well.
Are those sidewalks all completed now? That we had?
The project that they started last year? From my understanding, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
That was before I came in,
yeah,
but
for you.
I believe it is finished, yes. Yeah. Anything else?
No, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, have you had a chance to read the minutes? Okay, everybody's approval of the minutes. Have you had a chance to read your minutes? Okay. Motion?
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the past meeting
Previous meeting.
minutes.
I'll second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, we're up to the review of the financials, the grant worksheet, and innkeeper's remittance.
Well, we talked a little bit about financials, that we pretty well granted all the money
our
we've
money.
had to be granted this year. It looked like there's like 10 or 12,000 left. And, but, you know, financially, we're doing great. We started out January 1st with around 826,000, and then we're sitting now with 746. So financially, we're doing great. Looks like everybody's up to date on their remittance of the tax. And if you go to the tax collections, it really tells interesting stories, because a year ago, we were 150,000, now we're 186,000. And if you go back in history, on that sheet we have to 13, I think that's the highest we've ever been in April.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is, I think our innkeeper's tax last year in April was 30,000, this year it's 50. And then what the state collected was 22 last year and 13 this year, so.
Fewer Airbnbs, maybe?
Yeah, that's going down, but the local
Hotels
hotels
are-
are going up, so
Yep.
I think that's a good.
Well, we added more hotels too, so there's more beds.
That's true.
So-
Anyway, that's kind of where we are on financials.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the financial report as presented.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
And I think the topic says talk about financials. I think, Michelle, what's our options for moving dollars? Would it have to be for a specific project? Can we move dollars for additional grant requests through the balance of the year? Because as John mentioned, we're down to,
Correct.
we have like 12 grand, 13,000
Correct.
for the year. I know it's not in our budget, so I just want to make sure we're in compliance.
Yes, since we've currently exhausted this year's budget, what you'll have to do is ask for an additional appropriation. And when you ask for those dollars, they can be spent in whatever bucket you need. So
Okay.
if you're looking at needing additional dollars for grant requests, then that is the account number that we would fill out that paperwork for and send to council. So at this point, since it's May, if that's the direction you want to go, I can get that paperwork prepared and it will go in front of the county council in June for
So
approval.
we technically couldn't approve any of those grants until July, if we were to
Correct.
exceed our current grant.
Yes. Or you could approve them contingent
Subject to-
on
Okay.
that additional appropriation
Okay.
being approved at the June council
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, thank you. So I guess discussion amongst us, you know, who knows how much we're gonna need, who knows how much people are gonna come to, but I don't like sitting in May with nothing
No, I
left
don't either.
to approve, because there's gonna be some organizations that are probably, you know, smaller dollar amounts that
Correct.
quite honestly, we're gonna come out and we're gonna have to say no if we
Correct.
don't have additional funding.
Correct.
And it looks like receipts are good, and, you know, we have that
Positive.
balance in there. I don't want to spend it down to zero, at least my
No,
preference
but
would not be to spend it to zero,
We're on a
but,
trend.
you know,
of
I'd rather spend it on
increase.
things that do good for the community, especially coming out of what we've done the last couple of years.
I agree.
So some amount, I don't know what that amount is, but, you know, it sounds like all we would need to do is have the discussion, approve, and then Michelle can request those funds before us to use for grant requests.
Okay.
So, anybody have an idea on a number? What we would like to do going forward? I mean, we've got 748, 750, something like that in the account.
746.
And for the newer members, we've done this in the past
Okay.
for large.
What
and-
about if we make certain we like to keep amount in for the CBB? And we always held on to a certain amount.
Yeah, well, again, that's history, but historically, we have tried to keep enough for at least a year's worth of operation for the CBB, assuming we go to zero. But I think 20 showed us that
Oh, yeah.
even in
at
the
that,
bad, we
we
generated
did.
revenues, right? I mean, the revenue's never gonna go to zero, and that's accountant thing.
Do you
And
think-
it's terrible, because I am one. But you can't always go on, we're gonna spend every dime.
No.
You know, we're never gonna bring anything in, we're always gonna spend 3 times what we think we're gonna spend.
Correct.
It's something in between.
Do you
So,
think 200,000 is too much to move?
you know, I mean, our total request for this year was only
Already.
200 and something. So
Right,
I don't wanna see us exceed that, but,
Correct.
you know, if we,
200?
125, 130,000 in there, that gives us some flexibility. And if we don't spend it, we don't spend it.
Right.
You know, it's just authorizing us to use those funds. But if we don't have the need, then it still sits in the account and we don't spend it.
What about 150?
I'm good.
I don't know
mean,
what
if
the
we
right
don't,
number is.
right, if we don't
I
spend
like
it,
the
we
200.
you like 200.
I mean, again,
Yeah, you
it
don't have to
just,
It
spend
is
it.
May. I mean, we still
Yeah.
have over,
yeah, but we did a lot of those grants, we do them in the
Up
fall
front,
of the year.
right.
You know, if you look at the dollars that we gave out, were like back in November last year, is what we granted for this year's funds.
Correct.
So, and that's the unknown, we don't know what we're gonna see next
Correct.
year, and in lines with that discussion, talking even about our own budget, you know, we're funding CCAC, maybe at some point we have that discussion with the wagon wheel, now that it's a nonprofit, it's not individually owned.
Correct.
And it is one of the top
Correct.
tourism draws for the community. Maybe we can come up with that, and again, that would be in our budget going forward, but,
But I
something to
mean-
think about. So I don't know if 200 is the right number, 150, we just need to have that, a motion, see if it
Okay.
carries, and if it is, it is, if it isn't, it isn't. So,
May I have a motion?
so somebody make a
Make a
motion.
motion?
I'll make a motion, we go for 150.
Yeah, second.
Okay,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye. So $150,000 is what we feel we
we
need
need
to move
Move.
to appropriate.
And that
we
would
can
be for
start.
grants.
Correct, for grants.
okay, I will fill out that additional appropriation paperwork and submit to council. And I'm glad to see that you're doing more than the minimum that you need to cover this, because as we get closer to the end of the year, it's a little bit more difficult to get those additionals
Correct.
through
That's
council.
why I'd rather, if we don't
Yes.
spend it, we don't
Right.
spend it.
And
It's always
I'd
better to
rather
have a little bit
it.
of cushion, but yes, that cash will stay in that fund if it's not spent for
Correct.
this year. So, thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Well, we have enough, we have,
so our 2023 budget review.
no,
Still talking.
oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Okay, our budget review, 2023.
So, John and I guess we've had a couple of, not quorums, but a
No.
couple of us have discussed.
Yes, not
Right,
quorums.
trying to plan, what we're doing, going forward. And, you know, obviously the receipts last year were better than expected. The receipts this year have been better than expected. We had to have our proposed budget out there. We need to get that submitted, approved and submitted, and the request in, so that we meet the compliance to have dollars available to hand out in January. So it's crazy, it's May and we have to budget for the next year.
Correct.
So, you know, I had sent a spreadsheet out that we had talked about, and it had dollars in there for the CCAC, it had our total proposed, budget in there, and I think the total for that was, 779, no, I'm sorry,
It was,
644
Yeah.
was what our budget, which going from this year where we were at, which was significantly lower than that, but the receipts are higher and things like that. And of that 644 we had in there, for the CVB was 375 and 254 for grants. And then the administrative is 15,000. And again, it's just, we've tried to take this to just 4 categories, so it's not nickel, and, here we got a detailed $1,000 or $500 or whatever. And again, I did this, and John and I talked about this 2 months ago. I mean, it was back in March, and receipts have improved and things like that. But it's a starting point for what do we want to do going forward. So really what we're looking for is those 4 line items, which are CVB, grants, admin, I guess I say 4, grants, CVB, grants, admin, and then just what's our total amount? What's that look like? Am I correct, Michelle? Those are our 3 categories? So, admin, that's 15,000. That's the cost of an audit that we have to do every year.
Correct.
We've over the last few years, we've done 10, like everything else. It's gonna go up. So 15,000, I don't think we need to beat that to death or, have that discussion with that. Grants, obviously, we look at what are we gonna do this year if we were at 2 something or other, and now we're gonna add 150 to that. But will we have it or not? I don't know. I mean, that number, obviously, discussion, maybe there's some other projects, as I mentioned, maybe we talk about or we budget for ourselves for perhaps putting something in there for the wagon wheel, even though they didn't ask for it, but to help support them quarterly as we do the CCAC, to take some of the burden off of them. And then the CVB, obviously, I think everybody saw the proposal
increase.
from the CVB as far as what their budget request was, significantly higher than last year, and we've had some discussion with that, and it's all, we did meet with a couple of the members of the CVB board, and, there's reasoning behind what they're doing, but ultimately, we need to budget what we think we need to do, and that things have to match. I mean,
Correct.
they're gonna operate within that. So, yeah, has everybody seen that or got a copy of that? I know Michelle put that out there. So, I guess that's probably the best. Maybe we talk about grants to start with. Again, what I had proposed was 250, but obviously if we're gonna do what we did this year, that isn't enough.
Correct.
Which is a good thing. That's
is a
why the
good
money
thing.
comes in. We don't need to
Correct.
sit on it
No.
and hoard
No.
it, for lack of better terminology.
Correct.
But again, we wanna have it available if by chance we do have a down year.
Correct.
That we don't see as a significant drop off in our ability to fund. So, and we talked about it in the past, what should we have for lack of better terminology, a safety net? What's the right number? I think it's too high at this point.
I do
just
too.
We don't really need that much, but, again, that's up to us to determine where we want to go with those funds, So for grants, again, in the budget we had was 645, or let's say 645, that's where we started, with 270 or 254, 790. I don't know, I use a spreadsheet so it goes up to pennies, but what do we think for grants for next year? Bueller? Bueller?
Thought process. I think based off what we're seeing coming in for occupancy tax, what we're seeing people come already and want to have help, I think at least we need to increase that probably 100,000.
Yeah,
I do.
I'm not opposed to that.
I
I think
do. I
that
think
would
that needs
would
to
make
be-
sense, maybe
you have to-
350 instead
Yeah.
of 250.
I think we need to have a plan in place.
And again, it's history and it's different time and things are more expensive, but we used to sit, nobody came and asked for grants, so it's a
Right.
great thing.
It is a great thing that
That's
people
how
are
our
coming.
funds
That's
got
what
to
it's
where they
supposed
are,
to
is
be
people
used
weren't coming and
for.
asking for funding.
And it's like a cycle, like we've talked
Right.
about, the more they come, the more they produce, the more the heads in beds, the more meals are eaten, the
Right.
more, it's the way it's supposed to work. So it's what we were intended to do.
So 350?
350.
Okay. So, then administration's 15.
Correct.
And then I guess the rest of the discussion, will be
CVB.
around the CVB as far as dollars that we think for that, towards the CVB.
I personally feel like there needs to be in the middle. I feel like we went a little too thick with the conversation. In my opinion, it needs to be closer to the 420. I've sat down and done some math, and that's just my opinion. But I feel like there needs to be a growing point. I don't think we go from A to B that quickly.
Ron, what do you think?
I kind of agree with her. I think it's time we boost it a little bit.
We
420.
do.
And they're asking for,
508.
508. that's
But
fine.
last year we went to 348, we were at 348.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, they did a good job of managing.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know, went
Especially
out
when
and
they
got
had to
some
reduce.
grants and funding and
Correct.
things like that that added to. And we don't want to hamstring what they're doing, but we also, you know, to see an increase. And part of the reason for the discussion that we had and was perhaps taking some of the publicity grants off of our
Correct.
plate to where, you know, it was approved through
managed.
the CVB versus coming to us for the $500 grants, because they did. I think it's helpful for folks to have the public forum to come in and present their grants. I mean, the press is here, they get some free publicity out of that because it's listed there. You know, I think it's a good thing for them, even if it is $500 for publicity, they're getting that publicity just by being here. They get it.
Correct.
Get it
And
noted
now it's
in.
streamed too, so it's, I
And they
mean,
get their voice heard rather than
Correct.
just have to go. And I mean, we could, over time, maybe evolve to that, but I just think for 23, we're better keeping that process, not making too many changes too quickly.
correct.
And
we
then
have.
maybe look at that going forward. So that was part of the reason for the increase,
Mm-hmm.
the justification for what the CBB asked for. It's not like they threw some wild number out. I know they really have
No, we
thought
did
about
meet
it
with them, and there
with what
was a
they're
lot of
doing.
thought process put into it.
So, I mean, 420, if we want to say that's,
So moved.
okay. So I'll second that
Okay, all
for
in
the
favor?
line item for the CBB.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Okay,
Okay, and then I'll make a motion for 350,000 for a line item for grants for 2023.
okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then a motion for 15 for admin.
Admin?
Not that we have much choice. So we got a second?
I think we should cut her.
You think?
Second. All in favor for the 15,000 for that?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
All
Any
right.
opposed?
So
Okay.
if that's the case, if I'm asked, right, Michelle, check me. 785 for our budget, yeah.
Okay.
Is that all we need to do? We need to do any more formalization than that? No. Okay, very good.
Okay,
Good. Good job.
perfect. Thank you, Mark, I appreciate
Thank you,
that.
Mark, for your work.
Any further business before the commission? Anything, anybody?
No, I think, again, I think I mentioned that, and we need to consider that, and it's not just because they're here in the room.
Correct.
Yes, the energy is great, but I think,
Correct.
again, in our
Correct.
process, and we'll
We
have
need to
some
be thinking
discussion maybe
about
offline,
that.
to maybe come up, it'll help alleviate some of the things that go on for you. I mean, we just increased what we're doing for the CCAC, but you
We've
take the
really been
CCAC
looking
and the
for
wagon
that
wheel,
type of,
and Lake City, quite honestly,
project.
you know, other than the lakes,
correct.
there's our tourism, you know,
Correct, and
dollars.
that's
I
where
know
we see
somebody's
a
gonna be ticked
ton
off that I
from-
didn't mention them, but the bigger draws, you
They
know,
are
that brings
huge
people in
draws.
here, so I think that's important.
And then, I need to go back to the venues then after we have the discussion, or are we gonna do it contingent upon the money moved? How do you wanna?
Yeah, I mean, do we wanna, I guess we should have that discussion, or do we just wanna hold that and then, you
Do
know, at our
we
next
wanna
meeting?
really wait till July though for that?
I guess,
What are we gonna do with Chuck?
so,
Yeah, Chuck's sitting here.
so yeah, other business, so I would make a motion that we approve the.
I think we need to do his,
The 10,000, whatever the,
yes, we've asked
whatever
him
the
to come
amount is.
twice. Yeah. The Lake City skiers, the 10,000,
What's the exact number? Because if we're gonna approve the grant, we need to,
10,643.
10,643 for the Lake City skiers for their building. I will make
Correct.
that motion.
Second. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And
There you
then,
go.
and again, so that one we could fund because we still had the money.
Correct.
So then my next one will be make a motion for the 15,000 for the wagon wheel website.
Or, correct.
Contingent on council approval of this
Transfer of funds.
adjustment to our grant
Correct.
funds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And then as far as the
other, I think we'll
projects, the
table
other
that.
stuff to table
Yeah.
until we can put our ducks in the row.
Yep,
But there is intent.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second?
Good
Second.
job.
All in favor?
Aye, we're out of here, man.
All right.
I'm opposed.
Thank you for everything. And Wagon Wheel, thank you so much for your presentation. That was entertaining.
The recording has stopped.
Was fabulous.
It was fabulous.
She is full of energy. Thank you.
Good morning, how are you? Good. Thank you.
Okay, good, yeah, keep it going, because if you don't get the laundry, it's sitting on it. You know, that's like. Oh, I see. Yeah, right. Oh, you've been doing. Right. It makes it easier to manage. Right. I am lucky instead of.
Right. Yeah, I think we all are. I don't know anyone who's saying, yeah, we're good. I don't know what to do. I mean, my work